July 16th, 1054 AD. A Catholic cardinal walks into the most important church in Constantinople, the Hagia Sophia, during a packed worship service. He marches straight up to the altar and slams down a written document, excommunicating the Patriarch of Constantinople on the spot, in front of everyone. The Patriarch responds days later by excommunicating the cardinal right back. And just like that, the church split in two, East and West, Catholic and Orthodox. A divide that has lasted nearly 1,000 years. How did it get to this point? Let's find out. For the first 1,000 years of Christianity, there was officially one church. But practically, two very different worlds had been growing apart for centuries. The West spoke Latin, centered in Rome, increasingly shaped by the authority and structure of the Pope. The East spoke Greek, centered in Constantinople, shaped by the authority of emperor and patriarch together, and a more mystical theological tradition. Different languages, different cultures, different ways of worship, different political systems. They were technically one church, but they had basically stopped understanding each other. It's like two siblings who grew up in completely different households, same family, completely different worlds. The biggest theological disagreement centered on three Latin words added to the Nicene Creed: filioque, meaning, and the Son. The original creed said the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father. The Western Church added, proceeds from the Father and the Son. This sounds small. It is not small. The East saw this as the West unilaterally changing a creed that belonged to the entire church without consulting anyone in the East. It wasn't just about theology. It was about authority. Who gets to decide what Christians believe? The West said, Rome has final authority. The Pope can make this call. The East said, no single bishop has authority over the whole church. Major decisions require everyone together. This argument simmered for centuries, getting worse, never resolved. Underneath the theology was something else entirely: power. The Pope in Rome increasingly claimed universal authority over the entire church. Final say, supreme jurisdiction. The Patriarch of Constantinople said, absolutely not. We are equals. First among equals, maybe, but not your subordinate. Political tensions made it worse. The Byzantine Empire and the emerging power of Western Europe were rivals. Trade disputes, territory disputes, cultural superiority disputes. Then there was the issue of unleavened versus leavened bread in communion, married versus celibate priests, different fasting rules, different liturgical practices, individually, small differences. Together, centuries of accumulated frustration. So back to that day. Pope Leo IX sends Cardinal Humbert to Constantinople to resolve growing tensions. It does not go well. Humbert is arrogant. Patriarch Michael Cerularius is stubborn. Neither side wants to back down. Negotiations completely break down. And then Humbert does the unthinkable. He walks into the Hagia Sophia, the most sacred church in the Eastern world, during the Divine Liturgy, in front of the entire congregation, and places a bull of excommunication on the altar, excommunicating the Patriarch, and by extension, the entire Eastern Church. The Patriarch is furious. Days later, he convenes his own council and excommunicates Humbert and the entire Western delegation right back. Neither excommunication was even technically valid by church law. Pope Leo had actually died before this happened. Humbert had no authority to act in his name anymore. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. Here's something most people don't realize. At the time, almost nobody thought this was permanent. Mutual excommunications had happened before in church history and been resolved. But this time, it stuck. Politics, culture, language, and accumulated theological disagreement made reconciliation increasingly difficult. The 1204 Fourth Crusade made everything dramatically worse when Western Crusaders, supposedly on their way to the Holy Land, instead sacked Constantinople itself, looting churches, destroying treasures, massacring civilians. That betrayal poisoned relations between East and West for centuries. The wound never fully healed. Today, the Catholic Church and Eastern Orthodox Church remain formally separated. Different leadership, different practices, shared roots stretching back to the very same apostles. In 1965, Pope Paul VI and Patriarch Athenagoras formally lifted those original excommunications, a historic gesture of reconciliation. But full unity still hasn't been restored. The schism remains. One document, slammed on an altar nearly 1,000 years ago, and Christianity has never been the same since. What started with theological disagreement over 3 Latin words became a story about power, pride, culture, and the painfully human struggle to stay united. Maybe the real lesson of the Great Schism isn't about who was right. Maybe it's about how easily unity breaks and how rarely it gets fully restored once it does. Next episode, we go inside the most explosive theological debate in church history, the Council of Nicaea. 318 bishops, one burning question. Subscribe so you don't miss it.